Hey everybody, this is Pamela coming at you with a video vlog, chat, speakeasy, whatever you want to call it. I thought I'd get on here today to denounce Donald Trump for his sickening post on his piece of crap Truth Social. He knows Rob Reiner was savagely murdered at his home by his son, supposedly. And I heard that the son's bond was revoked, by the way. But Donald Trump had no scruples at all about Rob Reiner putting meat hooks into his orange ass, as he should put orange meat hooks into his orange ass. You know, he has been a staunch enemy of Donald Trump, speaking out for the things he's done wrong. But, you know, unlike Donald Trump, Rob Reiner is not psychotic. He is not an idiot. He knows exactly what was going on. Or should I say, he knew exactly what you were doing, Donald Trump. You killed people at will by ordering strikes on ships out in our oceans. Are you kidding me? Then to hear about your sickening post on your stupid Truth Social, stating that he was suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. You know, your commentary is beyond sick. It's beyond disgusting. You need to be impeached. You need to be removed. And you need to be fucking jailed. I don't give a damn who you are. You show that kind of coldness toward Rob Reiner, some of us are going to show to you when you die. And I will be showing that kind of disdain when you die. Hell, I'll even pop open a bottle of champagne on the day you leave office and or your death. Maybe both. But people like Midas Touch and other independent media have called you out. Even Jimmy Kimmel blew up your little shit show that you did on Truth Social. Even some of your own sycophants are coming out against you. Even your lovely followers are saying you went too far. Well, now I want to move on to the MAGA faithful, if I must say that. You opened the door to this Pandora's box, motherfuckers. You opened the door to this. Where was all this anger when he bragged about grabbing a woman by her genitals? Where was all this anger when when you sycophants went to the White House, rubbed your shit everywhere, broke a statue to Herman Cain, and ended up killing a police officer named Brian Sicknick? Why didn't you use that anger to stand against Donald Trump instead of going to the White House for him? Your people said you were there for Donald Trump. It's time to kick Donald Trump out and any sycophants that still follow Donald Trump's example. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, you still follow this asshole, you need to be out. The sad thing is, Rob Reiner and his wife were murdered in their own home, possibly by his own son, who has had emotional troubles and probably substance abuse troubles. There's only so much parents can do. I think what happened was his son probably fell off the wagon again. A huge argument ensued, and by the following day, father and mother were dead. It hurts. It sucks. I follow a channel called JLR Investigates, who is always on top of every news story. And I think this guy is a Fox News follower, but I'm not sure. But, you know, just hearing the commentary from Donald Trump shows how cold that this country has gotten. He opened the door not to just mock somebody who is dead, but he opened the door to racism and misogyny and all that shit too. So yeah, Adam Mockler is another person to call out Trump's bullshit. You know, and I used to follow Hal Sparks quite a bit, till I found out what a jerk he was. You know, a lot of these people are calling out Donald Trump for his bullshit. You know, members of the Republican Party are fleeing in droves. His whole facade is crashing down, as it should. But to hear about Rob Reiner's death, I was going to bed. I was having one of those nights where I wasn't sleeping. I'm dealing with a lot here myself. I got to get stuff printed and everything for my coverage for next year in terms of insurance. So, yeah. It's some new thing they got going on. But when I heard about Rob Reiner's death, I didn't realize it was midnight. I kept saying, oh shit, oh shit. I ran out, grabbed my phone. I called my brother. And the poor guy was asleep. And he says, it's midnight. And I said, is it? And I looked up, and sure enough, it was midnight. And I said, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to wake you up. And he's like, it's okay. And then he came in, and he said, yeah, it is true he died. And I said, yeah. He was savagely attacked and killed in his home. His throat was slit. That's not a good way to die. You know, I'm not a fan of All in the Family, but I do know the character Mike Stivic that he played. And, you know, he was just a man trying to give Archie's daughter a good husband to love and protect her. You know, that show broke barriers. Too bad Donald Trump didn't learn from it. How Archie went from a grumpy Gus, a racist Gus, to somebody that was willing to open up his heart to people. Especially when Mike and Gloria were moving out to California. And Mike said, I love you, and hugged Archie. I did see that. You know, but I'm not a fan of All in the Family. I admit that. But I love a person who stands up for the moral fiber of this country. And Donald Trump is ripping that fiber away. You know, he doesn't want any people from other countries here, you know. He has to remember that he's from German descent. Why didn't he go back to Germany? Germany and Russia is where he's from. So, yeah. You can't have one without the other, Donald Trump. And your egregious comments about Rob Reiner should have you in jail. They should have you impeached, removed, and locked up in jail for the rest of your days. And when you die, your sons should take over in that cell. Totally disgusting, Donald Trump. You and your sycophants are responsible for what this country has become. And Rob Reiner had the brass balls to call you out. That's what you're upset about. Rob Reiner had the brass cojones to call you out. And to have him murdered on the first day of Hanukkah, you know, it goes beyond the pale. He did everything he could to help his son, but something happened. The guy snapped and wound up killing his parents. But now he'll be facing some time in jail. But to call him a psycho who has Trump derangement syndrome, let me remind you of something. You have Biden derangement syndrome. You have derangement syndromes against people who stand up to you. Well, you know what, buddy? You're the one with the fucking problem. Not Rob Reiner, not me, you. You have the problem. And to the GOP, get this orange marmalade out of the office, or we will do it for you. We should do more we should do more peaceful marches. We should go to the White House door. We should stand there until they kick him out. Don't leave. Even if you have to take time off of work. You go there, you stand there, and you protest peacefully. I'm done. Donald Trump, you need to go to jail. And shame on you. And if you think I'm going to show respect to you when you die, no. No. You spit on a man who tragically died in his home. You say that Rob Reiner suffers from Trump derangement syndrome, that he's crazy. No, he had the balls to stand up to you, and you hate him for it. Well, you know what? I hate you for what you've done to this country. Bragging about grabbing women by the pussy. Bragging about not being the one to fall asleep on TV. That turned out to be a lie. You fall asleep on TV. You do all this stupid shit. And we're paying for it because of your stupid shit. But the Republicans and Democrats need to pull up their bootstraps and kick your ass to the curb. You get no presidential library. You don't get none of that. You don't get the lying in state. You don't get none of that. After what you did to Rob Reiner, you son of a bitch, you belong up under a motherfucking jail.